Don't make this weird. It was just a kiss for content. She told me like I was a fan. Not her, don't make this weird. It was just content. She said it like I was supposed to understand, like I was one of her followers commenting on a post. Not the man who'd spent the last 4 years loving her. I didn't argue, didn't raise my voice, didn't give her the reaction she probably expected. I just nodded, walked into our bedroom, and started folding my clothes into the leather duffel bag my father gave me before he passed. By the time I zipped it closed, I could hear her laughing through the wall, back on camera like nothing had happened. Hello friends, before I continue the story, please support the channel by becoming a subscriber and giving the video a like. Also, let us know in the comments where you're watching right now. Hey, before we get deeper into this, I just want to say I'm writing this anonymously because the whole situation blew up online and I'm trying to keep what's left of my sanity intact. My name is Marcus, I'm 31, and until about 2 months ago, I thought I had my life figured out. I was with someone I loved, building what I thought was a future, working hard at a job I was good at, and genuinely believing that loyalty and patience would pay off. She was Simone, 28, a rising content creator with a platform that grew faster than either of us expected. I'm a software engineer at a mid-sized tech company, the kind of job that's stable, pays well, and doesn't ask much of me outside of 9 to 5. We met at a Black tech networking event in Atlanta about 4 years back. I was there representing my company, standing awkwardly by the hors d'oeuvres table, when she walked up with her phone out, asking if she could interview me about diversity in tech for her YouTube channel. She had this energy about her, bright and magnetic, the kind that made you want to be in her orbit. We exchanged numbers after the interview, started talking, and within a month we were inseparable. Back then, her channel was small, maybe 5,000 subscribers, mostly lifestyle content, some vlogs about being a young Black woman navigating corporate America before she quit her marketing job to do content full-time. I supported that decision completely, even helped her set up LLC paperwork and manage her finances when the money started coming in. The first 2 years were good, really good. We traveled together when I could get time off. She'd film her adventures and I'd be the one behind the camera sometimes, perfectly fine staying out of frame. I'm not the type who needs attention or validation from strangers on the internet. My love language has always been acts of service, so I'd edit photos for her when she was overwhelmed, help her brainstorm video ideas, even let her film in our apartment whenever she needed a clean, aesthetic background. She'd thank me in her captions sometimes, little shout-outs like, "Couldn't do this without my amazing man," and I felt appreciated. But slowly, things started shifting in ways I didn't want to acknowledge at first. Her follower count exploded after she pivoted to relationship content and lifestyle collabs with other influencers. Suddenly she was doing brand deals, getting flown out to events, and her entire world became about analytics, engagement rates, and staying relevant. Date nights got canceled for last-minute filming sessions. Conversations at dinner turned into her scrolling through comments or checking how her latest post was performing. I told myself it was temporary, that once she reached whatever milestone she was chasing, things would balance out. But the milestone kept moving, and I kept getting left behind. She started collaborating with this guy named Tariq, another content creator who specialized in prank videos and those cringy relationship challenge trends. He had the whole package. Perfect fade, designer clothes, a Royce he rented for videos but implied he owned, and a cocky smile that said he knew exactly how good he looked. Simone would gush about their content synergy, how their audiences overlapped perfectly, how working with him was boosting her numbers. I tried not to be jealous because I'm not that guy, but something about the way she talked about him, the excitement in her voice, it didn't sit right. Still, I trusted her, or maybe I just didn't want to face what my gut was telling me. I sacrificed a lot during those years, more than I even realized at the time. There was a promotion at work, senior engineer position, that would have meant more responsibility but also more money and better hours. I turned it down because it required occasional travel, and Simone said she needed me around for support, that my stability kept her grounded. I lent her $12,000 when a sponsored deal fell through and she needed new equipment. She promised to pay me back, but it turned into our investment in her brand. I stopped going to the gym regularly because she wanted me home when she filmed, stopped seeing my boys as often because weekends became her content creation crunch time. I poured everything into being her rock, her safe place, the man who'd be there no matter what. Looking back, I was more like her assistant than her partner, just too in love to see it. She'd have me running out at midnight to get specific snacks for a mukbang video, or rearranging furniture for better lighting, or sitting quietly in the corner while she did 3-hour live streams. When I tried to talk to her about feeling neglected, she'd flip it, saying I didn't understand the pressure she was under, that I was lucky to have a regular job without the stress of performing for an audience. Gradually, I started feeling like a supporting character in her story, not the co-lead in ours. But I stayed because I loved her, because I remembered who we used to be, because I believed we could get back there. The breaking point came on a random Tuesday evening in June. Simone had a big collaboration planned with Tarek, some couples challenge video they were filming at our apartment for both their channels. The concept was, how well do fake couples know each other? One of those trending formats where two creators pretend to be a couple and answer relationship questions. She told me they had to sell the chemistry, that the whole point was making it believable for the audience. I agreed to stay out of the way, working from the bedroom on a project deadline, telling myself it was just work, just content, nothing personal. But something told me to check in, maybe instinct, maybe God looking out for me. I walked out to grab some water and saw them on the couch, ring lights blazing, her phone propped up on the tripod streaming to what looked like thousands of viewers. The energy in the room felt different, charged in a way that made my stomach tighten. They were laughing, sitting close, way closer than necessary, and the comments were flying past on the screen. The challenge had shifted to dares, viewers sending in wild requests with donations attached. Then someone donated $50 with the message, "Kiss for 30 seconds, make it look real." My heart dropped before anything even happened. Simone read it out loud, laughed that flirty laugh she used to reserve for me, and looked at Tarek with a smile that said she was absolutely going to do it. He leaned in without hesitation, and she met him halfway. This wasn't a stage kiss, wasn't some awkward peck for the camera. Her hand went to the back of his neck, his arm wrapped around her waist, and they kissed like they'd done it before, like they were alone. The chat exploded with flame emojis and screaming comments, but a few people started questioning it. Wait, doesn't she have a whole boyfriend? And this seems too real. I stood there frozen, water bottle in hand, watching my girlfriend kiss another man for entertainment while thousands of strangers cheered. I must have made some sound because Simone pulled back and noticed me standing there. She didn't look guilty or apologetic. She looked annoyed, like I was interrupting her workflow. Tarek smirked and leaned back on the couch, checking his phone like I wasn't even worth acknowledging. She muted the stream but didn't end it, and I could see the comments still rolling, people speculating, people rewinding to catch my reaction in the background. My hands were shaking, but I kept my voice level. "Simone, what the hell was that?" I asked, and even I could hear how tired I sounded. She rolled her eyes, and sighed like I was being difficult. "Marcus, don't make this weird. It was just a kiss for content," she said, her tone dripping with condescension. "You know how this works. The algorithm rewards engagement, and people love romantic tension. It doesn't mean anything." I looked at Tarek, who was grinning at his phone, probably reading comments about how good they looked together. Then I looked back at her, at the woman I'd rearranged my entire life for, and I didn't recognize her. "That didn't look like nothing," I said quietly. She stood up, hands on her hips, suddenly defensive. "Oh my God. Are you seriously going to be insecure right now? This is my job, Marcus. This is how I pay my half of the rent, how I build my brand. If you can't handle a little performance for the camera, then maybe you're not cut out to be with someone like me. Someone like me, like she'd ascended to some level I couldn't reach. You're acting like one of my fans, not my boyfriend," she continued, her voice sharp. "Grow up and stop being so sensitive about everything." Tarek finally looked up from his phone. "Man, chill, it's all fake. Just for the viewers," he said with a shrug. But I saw how his hand had lingered on her waist, how natural they looked together. This wasn't their first time crossing lines. "It's not fake to me," I said, more to myself than to them. Simone scoffed and unmuted the stream, turning back to the camera with a bright smile. "Sorry guys, quick break, boyfriend drama, you know how it is," she said with a laugh, and the comments lit up again. half supporting her, half calling her out. I didn't wait to see more. I walked back to the bedroom and closed the door, leaning against it as reality crashed over me in waves. 4 years, and I'd been reduced to boyfriend drama in a 30-second aside during her live stream. I sat on the edge of the bed we'd shared, the one I'd helped her pick out, and felt the weight of every compromise I'd made, every canceled plan, every time I'd bitten my tongue, every moment I'd made myself smaller so she could shine brighter. All of it led here to being disrespected in my own home while strangers watched. Something in me shifted, hardened, and I knew with absolute clarity that I was done. I didn't pack in anger. I packed methodically, quietly, the way my father taught me to do everything with intention. Clothes folded into my duffel, toiletries from the bathroom, my laptop and work equipment, the few personal items that were actually mine. I could hear her through the wall, back in performance mode, laughing at comments, doing another challenge with Tarek. The sound of her voice, so fake and bright, made me move faster. I loaded my car in 3 trips, and by the third one I noticed comments on her stream starting to change. Is he leaving? And I see him in the background with bags. She was too focused on her content to notice her relationship ending in real time. By the time I put the last box in my trunk, I took one look back at the apartment. Our apartment, except it never really felt like ours. Just hers with me as a convenient accessory. I got in my car and drove, no destination in mind at first, just away. My phone started buzzing before I even hit the highway. Text from Simone. Where did you go? And the stream ended weird. People are asking questions. I turned my phone on Do Not Disturb and kept driving. I ended up at my boy Julian's place across town, and he took one look at my face and the bags in my hands and just opened the door wider without questions. That night, lying on Julian's couch staring at the ceiling, I felt hollowed out. Not angry yet, that would come later. Just empty. How do you process being made to feel crazy for having boundaries? She'd gaslit me in front of thousands of people, made me the villain for not accepting disrespect as part of her career. I replayed the kiss in my mind, the way she'd touched him, the ease of it. That wasn't acting. That was attraction, maybe more. And the worst part wasn't even the kiss itself, but how she'd dismissed my hurt like it was irrational, childish, beneath her. Julian brought me a beer and sat in the recliner across from me. You gonna tell me what happened, or do I have to guess? He asked. So I told him everything, from the beginning to the end, and he listened without interrupting. When I finished, he was quiet for a moment, then said, Man, you know you did the right thing, right? That's not love, that's exploitation. Hearing someone else say it made it real. I'd been exploited, taken for granted, used up until there was nothing left. She's gonna try to get you back, Julian warned. They always do when they realize what they lost. I didn't believe him then, but I should have. The next morning, my phone was a war zone. 53 missed calls from Simone. Countless texts ranging from apologetic to angry. Marcus, please come home. We need to talk. Evolved into You're being dramatic by message 30. Then the mutuals started chiming in, mostly people from her content creator circle who I'd always been cool with but never really trusted. Bro, Simone's devastated, it was just content. One of them texted. Another sent, You're really gonna throw away 4 years over a kiss? Grow up, man. The audacity of these people telling me how to react to my own betrayal was stunning. I blocked most of them and focused on what I needed to do next. Rebuild. I stayed at Julian's for 2 weeks before finding my own place. A small 1-bedroom in a quieter part of town. Nothing fancy, but it was mine. Paid for with my own money. No shared anything. Work became my anchor. I threw myself into projects, took on extra assignments, and actually accepted that senior engineer position when it was offered to me again months later. Turns out being single freed up a lot of time and mental energy. I started hitting the gym again, reconnected with friends I'd neglected, went to my nephew's basketball games, lived a life that wasn't centered around someone else's needs. Slowly, the hollowness filled with something better. Self-respect. Meanwhile, the internet did what the internet does best. It turned Simone's stream into a spectacle. Clips of the kiss, of me in the background with luggage, of her dismissive comment about boyfriend drama all went viral. Not the kind of viral she wanted. Commentary channels picked it up, Twitter threads dissected her behavior, and her comment sections became battlegrounds. This is why I don't trust influencers. And she really fumbled a real one for clicks, were the Kinder observations. Her follower count started dropping slowly at first, then in noticeable chunks. A skincare brand she'd been negotiating with pulled out, citing misalignment with brand values. Karma wasn't something I sought, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't notice. Tariq's role in the downfall was almost poetic. About 3 weeks after the stream, multiple women came forward with stories about him. He had a pattern apparently. Charm female creators for collaborations, push boundaries on camera, then get controlling and possessive off camera. One woman shared screenshots of him threatening to ruin her reputation if she didn't keep collaborating with him. Another revealed he'd been in a relationship the whole time he was doing couple content with others. His career imploded faster than Simone's. Sponsors dropped him, his accounts got flagged, and he essentially disappeared from the platform. Simone tried to distance herself with a vague story about cutting off toxic people. But the association damage was done. She started reaching out more desperately as her world crumbled. First it was texts. "I see what Tariq really is now, you were right to be concerned." Then voicemails. "Marcus, I made a huge mistake. Everything's falling apart. I need you." I didn't respond to any of it. Julian had been right. She didn't miss me. She missed what I provided. Stability, support, someone to blame when things went wrong. Her friends and even her family got involved, which was wild. Her cousin hit me up on Instagram. "You know Simone's going through it? Maybe check on her?" Her mother, who I'd always gotten along with, called me from a number I didn't have saved. "Marcus, baby, I know my daughter can be difficult, but she loves you. Can't you work it out?" The guilt tripping was intense, designed to make me feel responsible for her downfall. "After all she did for you, introducing you to new experiences," her mother said, like Simone had been doing me favors by letting me support her dreams. "She's struggling, Marcus. Her channel's dying. She had to move back home. She needs you." But I held firm. I'm not a rehabilitation center for people who disrespected me. I'm not a safety net for someone who only valued me when their other options dried up. Every attempt to pull me back just reinforced that I'd made the right choice. I changed my number eventually, blocked her on everything, created boundaries that should have existed years ago. Months passed, and life got genuinely better. I was dating again. Nothing serious, just remembering what it felt like to be chosen, appreciated, seen. I got promoted, moved into a nicer apartment, started a side project building apps for small Black-owned businesses. My mom, who'd never really liked Simone, told me I looked lighter, like a weight had been lifted. She was right. I'd been carrying the emotional labor of an entire relationship while Simone coasted on my support. Now I was investing in myself, and the returns were actually showing. For the first time in years, I felt like Marcus again, not Simone's boyfriend, not someone's content assistant, just me. The first real confrontation came at a Juneteenth celebration that a mutual friend hosted. I almost didn't go, knowing there was a chance Simone would be there, but I refused to let her control my life anymore. I showed up with Alexis, a woman I'd been seeing for about a month, a teacher with no social media presence beyond a private Instagram with 200 followers. We were laughing about something when I saw Simone across the yard, looking diminished. Her hair wasn't done with the usual precision. Her outfit was regular, not curated for content, and she was standing alone by the drink table while people mingled around her. When our eyes met, I saw something flicker across her face. Surprise, pain, maybe regret. She approached slowly, hesitantly, nothing like the confident woman who'd dismissed my feelings on camera. "Marcus, hey, I didn't know you'd be here," she said, voice small. I nodded politely, keeping Alexis close. "Simone." The silence stretched awkwardly until she continued. "Can we talk? Privately?" Alexis squeezed my hand but stepped away graciously, heading toward the food table. I didn't move to follow Simone anywhere private, just waited. "I've been trying to reach you," she started, and I could hear the desperation creeping in. "I know I messed up. I know I took you for granted. but everything fell apart after you left. After I left? Or after you chose content over our relationship? I asked, keeping my voice even. She flinched. It wasn't supposed to be a choice. I thought I could have both. I thought you'd understand. Her eyes were watering now, and part of me, the part that had loved her for 4 years, felt a twinge of sympathy. But the larger part, the part that had rebuilt itself from the wreckage she left, stayed firm. Tarek turned out to be a nightmare. He was using me the whole time, being abusive and controlling. She continued. You were the good one, the real one, and I couldn't see it because I was chasing numbers and validation from strangers. I'm sorry that happened to you, I said, and I meant it. But that doesn't change what you did to me. She wiped her eyes, mascara smudging slightly. I'm different now, I learned. I'm off social media mostly, trying to figure out who I am without the performance. Can we try again? Start over. The audacity was almost impressive. She'd humiliated me publicly, dismissed my feelings, let her friends and family harass me, and now expected me to rescue her from the consequences of her choices. No, I said simply. We can't. Her face crumpled. After everything we had, you won't even give me a chance? The hypocrisy was staggering. After everything we had, you kissed another man on camera and told me not to make it weird, I replied. You made your choice, Simone. You chose views, engagement, your brand, whatever you want to call it. You chose that over me repeatedly until I finally chose myself. She started to argue, voice rising slightly, attracting glances from nearby people. That's not fair. I was confused. The fame got to my head. People make mistakes, Marcus, and people live with the consequences, I said calmly. I hope you figure yourself out. I really do, but I'm not part of that journey. I turned to walk away, back toward Alexis, back toward the life I'd built without her. You're just gonna leave me here? After I apologized. Simone called after me, and I could hear the anger mixing with desperation now. I stopped, turned back one last time. You didn't apologize for what you did. You apologized for what happened to you after. There's a difference. Then I walked away for good, and it felt like the final chapter of something that should have ended months ago. Later, sitting on my balcony with Alexis after the party, I felt a peace I hadn't expected. That seemed intense, she said gently, and I appreciated that she didn't pry. It was necessary, I replied. For so long I'd wondered if I'd made the right choice leaving, if I'd overreacted, if I should have tried harder to make it work. But seeing Simone again, hearing her try to rewrite history to make herself the victim, confirmed everything. I wasn't her villain. I was the person who refused to be her safety net after she set fire to what we had. That distinction mattered. Mutual friends who'd initially pressured me to forgive her started changing their tune as more information came out. Apparently after I left, Simone had tried to make things work with Tarek off camera, and he'd been awful to her. Controlling who she talked to, demanding access to her accounts, verbally tearing her down. When she finally cut him off, he tried to sabotage her remaining brand deals out of spite. Part of me felt for her because nobody deserves abuse, but another part recognized the pattern. She'd ignored red flags with him the same way she'd ignored my needs, choosing excitement and clout over substance. Now she was facing the cost of those decisions. Her cousin, the one who'd tried to guilt me, reached out again months later with a different message. Hey man, I owe you an apology. I didn't know the full story. Simone painted you as the bad guy, but I've seen how she operates now. You were right to leave. I appreciated the apology but didn't invest much in reconnecting. The whole situation had taught me something valuable about boundaries and about the kind of people I allow into my inner circle. If you'll cross me for someone else's comfort, you're not really for me. I started choosing relationships, friendships, and romantic, based on reciprocity and respect, not history or obligation. Work continued to thrive. The senior engineer position led to leading a project that got recognized company-wide, which led to networking opportunities I'd never had before. I started speaking at tech conferences about building resilient systems, and the irony wasn't lost on me. While my professional life was about creating things that could withstand pressure and adapt to challenges, I'd been in a personal relationship that crumbled under the slightest scrutiny. But I'd learned. I'd become my own resilient system, capable of withstanding the pressure of public embarrassment, gaslighting, and loss. That strength showed up in everything I did. Alexis and I grew closer naturally without force or performance. She wasn't trying to build a brand off our relationship, wasn't checking engagement rates during dinner, wasn't comparing me to other men for content ideas. We just existed together peacefully, supporting each other's goals without losing ourselves. When I told her the full story about Simone one night, she listened and then said something that stuck with me. You can't love someone into respecting you. They either do or they don't. Simple but profound. I'd spent years trying to earn Simone's respect through service and sacrifice, never realizing she had to choose to give it. About a year after everything went down, I heard through the grapevine that Simone had moved to another city, trying to start fresh away from Atlanta. She'd gotten a regular job in marketing, mostly off social media except for a private account. Part of me hoped she'd found some peace, that she'd learned something from the chaos. But mostly I didn't think about her anymore. She'd become a chapter in my story, an important one that taught me what I wouldn't accept, but still just a chapter. The book continued without her, and the subsequent pages were better written. The final piece of closure came unexpectedly at my nephew's graduation party. My sister had invited a bunch of family and friends, and I was manning the grill when my uncle pulled me aside. "I'm proud of you, young man," he said, and I must have looked confused because he continued. "Your mama told me about that situation with your ex, how she did you, and I'm proud you had the spine to walk away." He'd been married 42 years, so I listened. A lot of men would have stayed, would have accepted that disrespect because they were comfortable or scared of starting over, but you chose yourself that strength. Coming from him, that validation meant something. I'd spent so much time second-guessing myself, wondering if I'd been too sensitive or too proud to forgive. But the truth was simpler. I'd had enough self-respect to recognize when I was being treated like an option, not a priority. "You teach people how to treat you," my uncle continued. "You taught her you had standards, even if it meant losing what you had. Now you'll find someone who meets you at that level." He was right. Alexis met me there, and beyond her, I'd met myself there, rebuilt a relationship with Marcus that wasn't contingent on someone else's validation. Standing there in my sister's backyard, spatula in hand, surrounded by family who actually saw and valued me, I realized I'd made it through. The anger had faded, the hurt had healed, and what remained was wisdom. I learned that love without respect is just emotional labor. I learned that you can support someone's dreams without sacrificing your own dignity. I learned that when someone shows you who they are, especially publicly, believe them. And I learned that walking away from something broken isn't giving up, it's choosing yourself. And sometimes that's the most loving thing you can do. If I could go back and talk to the Marcus who stood in that living room watching his girlfriend kiss another man, I'd tell him what he already knew in his gut. Leave. Don't wait for an apology that will minimize your feelings. Don't hope for change that requires her to value you differently. Don't set yourself on fire to keep someone else's content warm. Just pack your things with dignity, walk out with your head up, and trust that the life waiting on the other side of that door is better than the performance you've been living. Because it is infinitely so. I don't regret the 4 years with Simone, because they taught me what I needed to know for everything that came after. But I also don't romanticize them or wish for them back. They were a season, and that season ended when it needed to. Now I'm in a different season entirely. One where I'm chosen consistently, respected automatically, and valued genuinely. One where my presence isn't taken for granted or reduced to a role in someone else's narrative. One where I'm the protagonist of my own story, not a background character in hers. And honestly, this season is beautiful. So if you're reading this and you're in a situation where you're being treated like you're lucky to be there, where your feelings are dismissed as insecurity, where you're giving everything and getting crumbs back, I hope you find the strength to choose yourself. It won't be easy. People will pressure you to stay, to forgive, to understand the other person's perspective. But your perspective matters too. Your hurt is valid. Your boundaries are necessary. And you deserve someone who wouldn't dream of making you question your worth, especially not for content, not for anything. Walk away if you have to, rebuild if you must, but don't stay where you're not truly valued. Thank you for watching all the way through. There's another story to your left screen. You'll enjoy it more than this one.